What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another review. This time we're taking a look at Kick-Ass, directed by Matthew Vaughn. Now, Kick-Ass tells the story of what if superheroes existed in the real world and had to face real-world problems. So that's basically what Kick-Ass is about, so let's talk about it. So, my overall basic thoughts, I think that Kick-Ass is a really good movie. I think this is one of the better superhero movies to take that grounded, realistic approach to the superhero genre and the superhero concept. I think Matthew Vaughn did a really good job at making this movie both very, very funny and very, very violent all at the same time, and it kind of comes across as a parody as to just how ultra violent this movie can really be in a lot of its areas and just the outlandishness of it. Now, don't make any mistake about it. This movie may take place in a realistic setting, but it's a very, very heightened world. I mean, come on, you got an 11-year-old girl who is dressed as a superhero, cursing and killing. You can't get any more heightened and over the top than that. And that's actually one of the best elements of this movie is the fact that it's such a heightened reality and it has the most outlandish concept, but the characters take the world very, very seriously, and a lot of that has to go with the writing. I think that Jane Goldman and Matthew Vaughn did a really good job at just illustrating these characters as being as grounded as possible, but also giving them some good motivations. Like the character of Dave. He's just this ordinary, regular teenage kid who likes superheroes and just was tired of being bullied around and just wanted to pick up the costume and just do some good. And Dave, played by Aaron Taylor Johnson, is a very, very likable character. Like you like Dave and you root for Dave, and when he's kick-ass, he comes across like a Peter Parker in a way. Like this nerdy, goofy kid who just wants to go out and just do some public service. Until one day he goes in way over his head, and you can see that he's not cut out for this game. He's cut out to just saving cats and trees. But there are multiple parts in this movie where he goes up against a bunch of thugs, gets his ass kicked, but still manages to come out on top. And I think Aaron Taylor John's performance all throughout this movie is extremely solid, and it works for me. A lot of the relationships that he have are actually really, really good. The relationship he has with this character called Katie, who thinks he's gay at first, but they actually develop a good chemistry with one another to the point where they develop a romance, and it's good. It works for me. I like it a lot. The relationship he has with the other superheroes, Big Daddy, played by Nicolas Cage, and Hit Girl, played by Grace Moretz. That's good stuff as well too, and I like it a lot. And speaking of Big Daddy and Hit Girl, they pretty much steal the show. Now, Kick-Ass is the Spider-Man of this movie. Big Daddy and Hit Girl, they're pretty much like the Batman and Robin of the piece, with Big Daddy being more of a combination of both the Punisher and Batman. And Nicolas Cage's performance in this movie is just outstanding. He is great. He's clearly this loving father to his daughter, yet he's training her to be a killer. And it makes a lot of sense because Nick Cage was a former cop until the character of Frank D'Amico pretty much framed him for selling drugs, and D'Amico also indirectly caused Big Daddy's wife to die while giving birth to the daughter, and pretty much, and right off the bat, Big Daddy is a very interesting character because he has a personal vendetta against Frank, and to Big Daddy, Frank pretty much destroyed his life and took away his daughter's childhood. So pretty much, Big Daddy just had to train his daughter to be a killing machine in a way. But their relationship is really real and really genuine, and you can clearly tell that Big Daddy and Hit Girl, Damon and Mindy, they have a genuine love for one another. And when Big Daddy's character dies near the end, in the middle, in like the last act of the movie, you feel it, and you feel the emotion because we've grown to like these two together, even though Big Daddy is ultra violent, and the warehouse scene where he's just killing everybody is a great scene. But prior to that, and of course throughout the movie they kill other people as well. But they come across as really, really likable, and again, a lot of that has to go with Nicolas Cage and Grace Moretz playing their roles just to perfection. For a child actress at the time, Chloe Grace Moretz, she knows what she's doing, and she's working off a pro like Nicolas Cage, who, when he has the reins on him, can be a great actor, and he can go. And this movie is no exception. This movie is Nicolas Cage at his absolute best. He can't get no better than that. Uh, Speaking of Frank D'Amico, he's played by Mark Strong. He's the lead villain in this movie. I like Mark Strong as an actor, and I like him as Frank D'Amico. He's that right amount of just. And now this is where the movie gets kind of interesting because Frank D'Amico has a son named Chris who's also into superheroes and stuff like that, and Chris becomes Red Mist, who befriends Kick-Ass because throughout the movie, according to Frank, Kick-Ass is pretty much destroying his operations. And by all the while, it's really Big Daddy and Hiko doing it, yet but Kick-Ass is the one who's in the public light. So pretty much Frank, his whole MO is that he wants to take down Kick-Ass who's trying to ruin his empire, while all the while, his son Chris can disguise himself as a superhero himself and kind of lead him to Kick-Ass in a way, which eventually does, and that's what leads to Big Daddy's death. But the character of Frank is an interesting character himself as well because even though he's this mobster, he's like Big Daddy, where he's actually a loving father. Like there are a lot of genuine scenes where he loves his son, he cares for his son, and he genuinely wants to do the right thing for his son. Doesn't want his son in the business. So it's kind of a cool dichotomy between the characters of Big Daddy and Frank. They're two vastly different personalities, yet at the same time, they're both kind of the same. You know, Big Daddy clearly loves his daughter, yet he trained her to be a killer. Frank D'Amico loves his son Chris, and eventually he's going to welcome into his family business of a life of crime, being a mobster and such. So it's weird, you got these two parental figures who are clearly doing just questionable things, and they got their children who want to be a part of those things. So it's kind of a good two sides of the same coin motif, and it's actually handled really, really well. While all the while you got the characters of Dave and his father, who are pretty much like these just ordinary, just working class people. So the whole triangle of parentage in this movie is actually really interesting, and when you look at it, it's really, really, really well handled to me as well. Uh, the action sequences in this movie are all really well done, though the special effects are really aged. Again, this movie, it's really hard to believe this movie came out 10 years ago. So even though these special effects look really janky and dated, Matthew Vaughn did a great job at making it look as best as he can. From a visual standpoint, this is a beautiful looking movie. I like how it's just very bright and colorful, and very, very stylized, and yet it's graphically violent and has a lot of profane language, but it's used to its advantage, and it's what makes this movie really, really stand out as being really, really good. So yeah, there's a lot more to talk about with Kick-Ass, but those are just my broad general thoughts. I overall think that Kick-Ass is a really, really smartly made movie. It's a brilliantly directed movie. It's got a great cast of characters, got a good cast of actors. And I'm going to give Kick-Ass a solid 10 out of 10. There's not really a whole lot of flaws that I find with this movie. I like this movie a lot. I thought this movie is great. I think this movie is great. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Kick-Ass. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. Like the video and subscribe, and I will check you back next time for more.